Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to MindShifters Radio with your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce, and his wife, Jeanie. Michael and Jeanie share with you the wisdom of the ancient Aramaic internal process of forgiveness. They offer tools and support 5 days a week. They will support you in building a solid foundation within yourself to live in pure love. In Aramaic, Rachma. Michael is the author of So Why Is This Happening to Me Again? For more information on Michael and Jeanie, please visit www.whyagain.com. And now your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael and Jeanie Ryce.
To the brightness within you and the truth that is rooted within me.
Hi, and welcome to MindShifters Radio with the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce. Just listening to that song, I think sometime we need to play the whole song out for everybody. It's such an awesome song. But today is the day before the 4th of July, Independence Day. Lots of people getting ready to get together. Our family, we're actually down on the farm, and there's over 100 people here already. And so it's phenomenal just to have time to be with family and friends. And, of course, we always do too much eating, but anyway, it's a lot of fun. We welcome you to the show today. Phone number to call in is 646-200-4169. If you want to talk, press 1. That puts you in queue. We do already have someone with their hand up. Looks like David and Tim are both with us. And welcome, Michael, to the show.
Hey, sweetie. Welcome, everybody. We're delighted that y'all are here. And, of course, our standard invitation, be part of the team that changed the world. Take responsibility for your life. Stop the games of hostility and fear that create insanity everywhere you turn, that create disappointment, confusion, internal dynamics that you want to pretend are external and want to blame somebody else for and move that hostility and fear in someone else's direction. And the doing of that work is called forgiveness. The result is we put an end to war on planet Earth, and we actually create a place where human life gets to show up. What is human life? Human life is this awesome state of satisfaction. You will know that you're living a human life when you're in that awesome state of satisfaction, and every little thing isn't a trigger that can put you off into the never land of your own hostility and fear. And so the forgiveness process is that of going inside yourself. Why do we have war on the planet? Well, when somebody turns a hostile eye towards someone, it's because there's something they want from them that this person has either set it up so they couldn't possibly provide it, or they feel like somebody outside of them has to bring them that state of satisfaction that they're so deeply looking for. And, of course, the kids had a song a few decades ago called I Can't Get No Satisfaction. If you're living in that non-being mind, if you're living in the desires of the non-being mind of hostility and fear, then the world becomes an impossible place to live as a human being. Our definition of a human, of course, is simple. It's an experiential definition. Hold a newborn child, you know what it is. If you're not living that, then you have a problem. Now, of course, your non-being mind can say, no, I don't have the problem. It's they. If only they'd be different, then everything would be fine with me. And, of course, that's all a fraud. It's all a lie. Notice that every time you've had that flaring upset, it's always been in your mind, in your body. It's about you. Forgiveness is about removing that. And when you recognize that process is necessary in order to embody your human life, then you start looking at all the ways you want to change the world, all the things you want from the world that you think could possibly make you happy. Actually, there's a wonderful line in the Course in Miracles that says, you must be aware of the distorting power of the way you want it to be. And when you hold a goal, especially a goal that you've set up to be impossible to achieve, of course the mind is going to go into its upset and its little games of hostility and fear, and it will hold somebody else to blame for that. And until you let go of that goal, your evidential mind will play out the best information it's got to try to see or show you how to accomplish that goal. And if you recognize the distorting power of the way you want it to be, you set the impossible dream for someone, the impossible task, then it's easy to make war on them. It's a great excuse to turn around and just flare that stuff at somebody else instead of stop and go, ooh, this is inside of me. This belongs to me. So the reason why you want to be aware of the distorting power of the way you want it to be is because the human mind is an evidential device. If I set a goal that wants to take me over to the left and the track I'm on is going to the right, I can get angry and enraged at everybody who's not supporting me and going off to the right instead of going to the left, because I want it to be different than it is, and I'll use, if I still have that inside of me, my hostility or fear to try to achieve that. And so there's a cool poem that I came across. Someone shared with me actually when we were in Greensboro, the minister there, and it's entitled "Who Makes These Changes" by Rumi. This goes back to the 13th century, and in the 13th century, here's what Rumi says: "Who makes these changes? I shoot an arrow right and it lands left. I ride after a deer and find myself chased by a wild boar. I plot to get what I want, and I end up in prison. I dig pits to trap others, and I fall in. I should be suspicious of what I want." Very careful of the goals that you hold, because if the goals you hold link to your hostility or fear, then your own perceptual mind's output will be defiled. And when it's defiled, you lose your human life. The objective of this work is to reclaim and maintain our human lives, regardless of what anybody's doing. If you don't know how that forgiveness process works, then what I would invite you to do is to go to our website, www.whyagain.com, and on the right-hand side there's a link that says Download Worksheets. That link will give you the whole process of how forgiveness works. And so we invite you to tap into that link and put it to work in your life. And the worksheet is there, chapter 24 of the book, and then there are 5 radio shows where we walk somebody in each show totally through from beginning to end. So you've got 5 different sets of custom instructions for how to do the forgiveness process. If your mind is stymied, if you've got blocks to understanding it when you listen to that, then we certainly want to hear from you and see if we can help you to straighten those blocks out and to get to the point where forgiveness becomes first nature for you, where you get rid of every form of hostility or fear, and you just live in a world where you're honest with yourself and you play the game as a human would. So welcome to the show, and Tim and David, you're with us. Gentlemen, how are you both doing?
Doing beautifully, thank you. Nice intro.
Awesome. How did the workshop go last night?
Well,
the support group.
That'll happen tonight.
Oh, pardon me. I was thinking it was last night. Okay.
Yeah. I had just one thought today, and that is what's come up a few times in the past 2 days with people working about trying to figure out why they're so angry and how they're angry. And the phrasing that's come to me and I've shared with them is that my anger, my sadness, my fear, any of my negative emotions are an alarm system. The problem is the culture has told me it's an alarm that goes off to warn me when somebody else is wrong or somebody else has made a mistake or life isn't going the right way. And all I need to do is realize that I've mislabeled the purpose for the alarm, and that the alarm is there just to tell me that I'm off target. My thoughts are wrong, and I've got an old energy in me that's resonated that I need to dismantle. So it's not that the alarm system doesn't work, it's just that we've been told my alarm goes off when somebody else makes a mistake or life is wrong. And in truth, my alarm goes off to alert me to the fact that I've made a mistake in my thoughts and I'm off target.
Well, I love, you look back to the 13th century, and here's Rumi, and the title of his poem is "Who Makes These Changes?" And, of course, the non-being mind says everybody else is the one who makes the changes that cause my upset. But, of course, it's my own way I want it to be that keeps me in that level of upset and gives me the opportunity to learn forgiveness. So, again, who makes these changes? I shoot an arrow to the right and it lands left. I ride after a deer and find myself chased by a wild boar. I plot to get what I want, and I end up in prison. I dig pits to trap others, and I fall in. I should be suspicious of what I want. Anytime you're in hostility or fear, anytime you see your mind just starting to approach that hostility or fear state, all the things that you want, you can work on, and you'll have 1,000 times better result if you do it out of a state of love rather than be controlled by the power person dynamic that taught you to want things and use rage to get your way, use hostility, use manipulation, use all the games of the non-being mind, because those games of the non-being mind defile your own temple. And they take you out of the active state of love, which means they cost you your human life. And so we're here to support you in restoring human life and to have that in expression everywhere you turn, at every instant of your life, and handling everything inside of you. And it's a huge project. I mean, just let's face it, it's a huge project to handle everything inside of you that takes you out of that condition of love. Who makes these changes? Rumi's question. It's my own unconscious. It's my own dissociated mind that keeps playing that game with me. And once I learn how to open my dissociated mind, and that is done through the tool of forgiveness, then I get to change it, and I stay on track, and I still get to go after what I want, but I don't end up in that state of disease, that state of defiling my own structure by this hostility or fear that I hold in me. So that's the new game in town. That's what we're heading for. David, how do you be today, sir?
I'm doing well.
Awesome.
I am. I'm in the middle of a project and just listening in.
Fabulous. You want to share what project you're working on?
Fixing the water pump, the pump in your home.
Oh, okay. Well, that one's an old project. That one's been going on for a long time. So thank you for taking another shot at it.
Okay.
All right. So, Jeanie, you've got a caller for us.
I actually have two callers. The first one is 954. You are on the air.
Welcome, 954. Who have we got? And I know you're calling from Fort Lauderdale area. Hello, 954. You're on.
Hi, Michael and Jeanie and David and Sam. It's Patricia in Fort Lauderdale.
Hey, Patricia. Welcome.
Thank you. Well, I was on yesterday and wanting to share, but I knew you were having a problem with the switchboard, so I wasn't able to stay on. But I just wanted to share a bit about our group last Thursday in Fort Lauderdale. We're building up a really nice group, and although the number of people attending fluctuates, even with a smaller circle, we've been having some really powerful experiences with using the worksheets. And actually today I was revisiting your book, Michael, your Why Is This Happening to Me Again book, and I love the key thoughts that are at the end of each chapter.
Yes.
And especially the one in chapter 11 that says, is remembering to use the tools and then using them a difficult way to live? No. What is truly difficult is living life without the tools. And that really resonates with me now, especially that I've been doing this work for quite a few months now, since March. And a lot of times when I talk about the worksheets in our support group and doing 5 a day, there's a reaction like, wow, that's a lot. How am I going to find time to do that? But, once we all know once you start doing it, it's just like a natural behavior, a natural part of the day. And it is really difficult to live without the tools once you're using them. It's like once you become awake and you step into that human life, it's impossible to go back. So,
well, it's interesting.
Uh-huh.
I'm in full agreement with you. And it's just very interesting how when I hold a goal in my mind, and Rumi, I mean, the 13th century, this guy's talking about goals and being careful of the way you want it to be, and just it's so powerful and so different than our culture thinks, because of course the culture says, well, just get this and get that and have this and have that and have that and have that, and you have to rage a little bit to get it, so what? And there's no idea that what's happening is that it's costing you your actual human life to get those things, and that each time, each worksheet softens another little piece in you, another little piece. And one of the things I've been discovering lately in terms of my own process is that when I hold something tight and closed within me because I have a goal, and beneath that goal or resonated by that goal is some form of hostility or fear, in order to hold on to that hostility or fear, I have to hold that tight. And to hold that tight means I can't get the active presence of love into that part of my tissue structure. And I'm stuck in that resistance, which literally means in Aramaic, Satan is the name of the resistor. And so when I hold on a tissue level, I hold out the active presence of love from that tissue by holding on to that which I don't want to feel and deal with. And that is how people destroy themselves. They progressively close down their structure to the active presence of love, and the structure becomes more and more and more diseased. And it's such a subtle process. And the culture, when they hear that, we are the cause of our own diseases, look at it and say, well, how dare you say that about this person, that they're, it's like, folks, we're not innocent victims. We are volunteers. And the minute that I hold closed a part of me to the proper energy flow of love, I'm the one who suffers, and my tissue starts to break down. And when I notice where my tissue is breaking down, and I cancel the goal that locks into that tissue, that energy of disease, that's when I can soften and open that, and that's when I can make a pathway to the active presence of love and change that dynamic in myself. So it's, you're right, it's certainly an awesome way to live, to understand the distorting power of the way I want it to be. So when is your support group now? It's Thursday night, right?
Yes, we meet on Thursday nights in Fort Lauderdale from 7 to 9 at the Urban Namaste Studio. And actually this week we will not be having a meeting because I am out of town having some meetings for business. But we will resume back again next Thursday.
Are you going to New York?
Well, I had a call yesterday that went quite well, and I'm expecting to hear back at the end of the week. So it's possible that I will be making a trip up there for a one-on-one interview. So
Fabulous.
I'm excited about that. I know.
We hold the space for that one.
Thank you. I know. It's so amazing. And I know that if I wasn't ready to receive this kind of stuff in my life before, but now that I've been doing this work, I mean, I really believe that because of what I've been doing in using your tools, my whole life is shifting. And I just know if this opportunity would have come to me in the past, I probably wouldn't have even given it a second thought, just because out of fear. And so it's just so exciting. Every day is exciting now for me. I'm just so grateful for these tools. Really, it's amazing.
Well, and I'm grateful for the fact because thousands of people get the tools. You're using them. what you probably need to do is acknowledge yourself and be grateful to yourself for the fact that you use them, because lots of people get the tools and they still hold on to their rage and their fear, and at the least drop of a hat, when somebody isn't just doing exactly what they want them to do, they can go into that, that fit of rage, and of course they've got somebody else to blame. So acknowledge yourself for the fact you've used those tools. And by the way, those who are listening to the show, notice Patricia started to use these tools back in April. That's 4 months ago. Now, she did a 9-day Why Is This Happening to Me Again intensive back about, 6 weeks ago now. And you've got a support group, and it's a successful support group that's creating miracles in people's lives. And so, if you're playing the game of, I can't start a support group because I don't know enough, the DVDs are there. You start using them. You start sharing them with people. Create a support group and watch what happens. It's absolutely awesome. And I know Patricia and I talked the other day, and she was sharing how she did her first support group on her own. When she first started, there was someone who was helping her, and then she took it on for herself. And I love the way that you said it, that you just had those answers. Those answers were just coming to you, and you knew exactly what to say to support people. And that's the skill that develops when you're committed. And so don't wait till you're around this work for a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years before you say, now I'm qualified to do it. Choose to do it, and you'll be qualified very quickly. So start a support group if you don't have one in your local community. And you don't need a huge, big support group in order to make it successful. Dr. Tim was sharing the other day, I think, that he had one person at the support group that last week, or 2 weeks ago, I'm not sure when it was, and that it was one of the most powerful ones yet. So, when two or more are gathered, there are miraculous things that happen.
And I also wanted to add this. I'm sorry, Michael, I didn't mean to cut over you. I just wanted to add the significance of the breath, too, because just knowing how the breath is the switch that allows the energy to move is so valuable, because, my life is not perfect now by any means, but now I'm more aware when things come up. And if I'm driving in my car or I'm somewhere where I'm not able to grab a worksheet, just breathing alone is it's so valuable, allowing that energy to move in my system, and it just promotes healing. Even, if I don't have a worksheet handy and I can't do it that minute, it helps me a lot, because it's almost like a prayer that I'm doing when I'm breathing.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Well, we acknowledge you for the integrity of your work and the way you're supporting people and bringing it into the world. That's cool. And we hold the space for that job interview in New York to come together and bring you the most awesome space in which to bring forward your creative expression with your art into the world that's possible.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you for allowing me to share today with everyone. Blessings.
All right. Well, you have a blessed one. Okay, thanks for the call, Patricia.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. So Thursday night support group in Fort Lauderdale will not meet this week, but it will resume next week. I guess the holiday and all that's going on. And if you're ready to take your work to the next level, on Friday night, I'll actually be doing a raw food potluck in Weaverville, just outside of Asheville, North Carolina. And then Saturday morning from 9 till noon doing Why Is This Happening to Me Again? And at that point, I'll hop in the car, and I'll be heading to Birmingham, Alabama, and start on Sunday afternoon or Sunday morning with their Sunday service at Unity of Birmingham, and then doing 7 days of workshops, Sunday through Saturday. That's 7 days, 6 days, I guess. So anyway, no, that's 7 days. That'll be 7 workshops in a row. So come and play with us at Unity of Birmingham, and then we'll be getting on our horse and heading to Heartland, where we'll be doing a 10-day food, fun, forgiveness, and work project, which will include awesome food by Chef Ari and some really neat stuff. If you want to tap into a little bit about what Ari's got in mind for the food, you could listen in. There are 2 shows in the archives from 2 weeks ago. They're well-titled with Ari's name in it, and give a listen to those. If you want to be inspired about food, you're going to want to be there when you listen to those shows. And that 10-day program is a kind of an economy program. Each year we do a project where we work on work projects during the day, getting the property ready for intensives. We do classes in the evening, and then Ari will be doing a special food program for people to learn more about. And Ari is such an encyclopedia of food. It's pretty awesome to be part of that. So that will be food, fun, forgiveness, and work projects. During the day, there'll be work projects going on, and then we'll take a day off, and the next day, on the 23rd, we'll begin a 9-day Why Is This Happening to Me Again? And the last day of the 9-day Why Is This Happening to Me Again, we'll cycle in that evening, and we'll cycle into a 9-day teacher's training. For those who've never done a 9-day Why Is This Happening to Me Again workshop, that is a prerequisite to the teacher's training, so you can do the whole thing in one fell swoop. It's a 17-day teacher training. So that will be the extent of our workshops at Heartland for this summer. And actually, Jeanie and I will be getting on the road immediately after the workshops because while we've got Jeanie's family reunion on this end of the intensives, on the other end, I have a family reunion that we'll be heading off to in Canada. It happens the weekend we finish the workshops at Heartland. So lots happening, and then we're looking at heading west, and not sure how that schedule's going to unfold yet. We're working on several things. We'll keep you posted if you stay on the website. And by the way, the new website that's on its way down the pike, Daniel and Susan and Jeanie have been working on a new whyagain.org site. You can check out the site. It's not fully operational yet. All the links aren't together yet. But, Jeanie, do you want to maybe talk about that just a little bit from your perspective, having been the one who's working on the technical end of the new website? You want to share a little bit about it?
Sure. It's a really nice facelift to it, and just a few of the things that we're going to have that we don't have on the whyagain.com, besides it's a whole new look. Like it's got a lot of, when you can click on it and see the little scrolling of the different pictures and things like that. It's very up to date with technology. It just has a really fresh look. It'll take all of us, including myself, a little bit of time to find certain things. Like, for instance, we are going to have a quick link at the top that says worksheets, where you can immediately click and go straight there. But then under multimedia, you'll find the catalog. Under healing, you'll find the forgiveness worksheets and all the other worksheets. So it'll take a little time to actually get all those little things worked out and figure out the best place for quick links. But you can go out there now and click around and do some looking. But a couple of the new things, besides the catalog is a whole new look, and that's just a really awesome toolbox, is that we have a blog. And that's where, we will start conversations. You all can pop in, you can make comments, ask questions. We're going to set up, and this part's not totally fixed yet, but each of their facilitators, like Patricia, who was just on, Dr. Tim, who's always with us, and the different facilitators of the support groups, will be able to have their own page within the whyagain.org website, where they can post what's going on with their groups. They can put their schedules up. They can do their own blogs. So there's going to be a lot of things out there for the facilitators to keep up with their own groups. And so that's going to be an awesome plus. Then the calendar is new. And the look that it has is actually like a calendar instead of just a list of workshops like what we have right now on the whyagain.com. And it is already where you can download to your phone. It's not an actual app, but you can download the calendar to your phone, and it's really cool, and it'll give you the maps. Like, if it's a certain place and you want to know where it is, you can click on it. It will give you the actual little map, how to get there, and the directions. It gives you all the time, a description of the workshop. All of that's on there, so you'll have it right at your fingertips on your phone if your phone is an Android or an iPhone. And so it's just got a lot of new things, new technology that we didn't have on the old site. It's taking us a while because we've got like 5,000 pages on whyagain.com, and we're having to copy each page over because it's a totally different format. And then after we get the pages copied over to a new page on the new website, then we have to go through and attach the links to the other pages. And if you've ever been out for any length of time on whyagain.com, every page has links to 20 other pages. And so it's going to take us a while to get all those. So just be patient with us. If you do run across one, it's fine to go ahead and drop me a line and say, hey, this link's not working yet. because as many links as we're looking at, it's always a possibility that we'll overlook one. So it's definitely, helpful if you let us know, but just don't send me a list of 50 things right now, because we know that they're not all hooked up. Lisa just popped into the chat room, and she said she's already been to whyagain.org and that it's really extra nice. So thank you, Lisa. We appreciate that. But it's going to have a whole lot of new features that we don't have right now. So it's going to, I think, open up the world that we already have on the website to a whole different level. And we do have another caller.
Okay, cool. Well, let's just put forward our thanks to Daniel and Susan and Marie Jose, who came up with the idea of coming forward and saying, we want to uplift your web presence and help to bring the work to every mind, heart, and being on the planet. So thank you to the three of you for all the dedication and work that you're doing to support us in that regard. It is absolutely awesome and exciting.
And if you have any website needs, his information is at the bottom of our pages on whyagain.org, so that you can, tap in there, and, that's what they do for a living. That's their business. And so, he's really got some technology there. So if you have need of hiring someone to do a website for you, I highly recommend them because they're great.
Yeah, kind of like Ari is this encyclopedia in the food world. Daniel is an encyclopedia in the computer world, and just amazing and awesome. So thank you to folks. So, Jeanie, let's hear from our next caller.
Okay, it's area code 702. You're on the air.
Hello, this is Joanne at Heartland with the Work Support Group.
Hello, young lady. Welcome.
Thank you. I just wanted to share a revelation that occurred.
There's something going on in the background that's kind of covering up your voice. If you could get that turned off, whatever it is, that would be helpful. I don't know if it's somebody else listening on another phone or radio or something, but there's something noisy there.
Can you hear me better now?
Better. More better.
Oh, good. Thank you. Yes, so what I was just sharing is that I had a revelation, and I believe and think that it is so worth sharing. It had to do with an experience that has been going on with me for many years intermittently. Let's say some years ago, many in fact, I had a son that died. And there was a lot of healing around the grief and the things that a parent would normally go through, I suppose. But in doing all the healing work, I would feel that I had achieved a certain level, and then something would happen, and I would get this sense that, oh, my goodness, I thought I was beyond this, and I'd recognize, of course, that there was more work to be done. So what happened here last week is that I've been doing the mind goal management. And so one of the things that happens in that is every night to cancel all conscious and unconscious and unsuccessful or goals or failed goals. So on last Friday, it was the anniversary of the incident that occurred with my son, which ultimately led to his death, which was a suicide. And I had a feeling that I had not had for years. And I was wondering, well, where is this coming from? It was just strong. And then I had this flash, this revelation about where it was coming from. And it came to me through the realization that in the canceling of conscious and unconscious goals, that somewhere in my unconscious, I still had some goals centered around my son and our relationship. And that was a great, in fact, So, yes. Anyway, that was the revelation that what was going on was something that had been buried, that I never related to it as a goal. I know that he had many wonderful, he was a brilliant kid, and there were so many things that were dreams and desires and aspirations, and he was the one of the three that was the most unique and unusual, and we had our own little things that we did together, and so at certain seasons, you know, there would be the memory of those things, which I knew that, but I just didn't feel that sadness or that grief that just came up again Friday. And so I'm just happy
to surround you.
Say it again.
I say we surround you in our love, and we surround him in our love, that those attachments that keep any kind of negative emotion or cycle going would be released from both of you, so that that new level of connectedness can come in, and a new level of vitality can be reached. And if there is another depth at which you need to go to clear out this pained energy, that we support you in being empowered to go there and to move it out of every cell in your structure and out of your genetics, so that your family system is released from it.
Well, I appreciate that, and that's why I said it was a revelation, because the minute I had the thought, I had the feeling that it accompanied the thought that was, you know, what it was. And the interesting seeming coincidence, since there really are none, is that, of course, I was here on Memorial Day, and my son was a vet. And, no, he wasn't a vet. He was still in the service, actually. And then his birthday was June the 7th. And I didn't have any of that sense of sadness and grief and memories yet, but not the grief and the sadness. And then Friday was the day that it all came up, and that was actually the end. My son shot himself. And it took about 5 days before he actually passed. And he passed on July the 4th. So the minute I had this, I knew that it was on target. It's just that it brought up more, even as it is now, as I'm speaking, up even more. So I just wanted to share that it was a direct result of the mind goal management and the realization that there were some unconscious goals that consciously I know could never happen, but there was that part of me that had that yearning and et cetera. So anyway,
still there.
Thank you.
That's very powerful. Thank you for the courage to share that. And, again, we certainly hold you in our hearts and in our love, and clearing that space out.
Yes, but, Michael, before we leave, I think there's someone else that may want to say something here.
Awesome.
Would you hold on?
Certainly.
Okay.
Hey, Michael, this is Mary Lou.
Hey there, young lady. Good to hear your voice.
I'm wanting to make an amends. Yesterday, when I shared what I shared about my experience here at Heartland, I said something that really has brought up some issues for me, that I said about somebody yelling, shut up at me, and I was really trying to say that it was within me, that I was hearing it that way, and I've made amends to the support staff that it implied that there was anything else other than love, and that I'm taking ownership that pain was the pain in me and not in them causing it. It was me causing it, and I just wanted to acknowledge that to you, and to make sure that I was clear and that I'm in integrity, because it's an issue that I'm working on, and I'm very grateful for the support I'm getting.
That's fabulous, and we certainly hold the space. And I just acknowledge the integrity of your process and moving forward. That's just, so cool. And that's, of course, the whole idea of Heartland, to keep reaching into those deeper and deeper places, to deepen your experience till everything that you're ready to look at softens and opens and moves through. And that's the whole purpose of.
And I really got that. One of the things on one of the sheets that's in one of the houses, it talks about that Heartland I'm not going to have the exact words, but it was about self-responsibility, about being able to self-respond and taking that. And so this is what I'm doing and feeling good about it. And I want to pass the microphone over to another one of our teammates and let you speak with Jannar.
Awesome. Jannar, how do you be, sir?
Pretty well, actually.
Fabulous.
There is an issue I've been having, though. Because of the heat, we've all been going down to the lake a lot. And while there, I had brought up an old fear of mine that I'd really forgotten. I have a really hard time relaxing in the water. I can't really float. David has been down there and has nagged me endlessly about needing to let go, and I've not really been very successful on that. I already did a worksheet and didn't really help much, so I'm a little lost.
Well, when you say there's an old event around water, are you conscious of what that event is?
Yeah.
Is there something you have to remember that something that happened?
Yeah, but I don't really think it has much to do with the event itself. It's more of just water going over my head. When that happens, I immediately start to panic.
All right. So can you share what happened that's back there in the memory bank?
Well, there's been more than one time where I've been thrust into the water. I think the first time was when I was 4, and I nearly drowned twice at the same day at the pool, in the pool.
Wow. What happened? I mean, did you fall into the pool, or what do you recall what happened?
No, I'd been swimming around in the pool holding on to a large balloon because I couldn't swim, and I slipped. It was a very large pool, at the deepest part, like 10 or 20 feet deep. Where I was, it was, at that age, well over my head, and
right.
Started flailing around, calling for help, and eventually my father came in and got me. Later, I started swimming again and slipped off the balloon again, and that time, as long as it took, I ended up flailing, constantly trying to stay above the water surface until I reached the edge of the pool.
Okay, so what I'd suggest in order to get that to come to the next level of awareness so that you can clear that out of your body, I would suggest perhaps using a mind shifter. And I presume that David's introduced you to the mind shifter process. You've been doing some of them?
Okay.
Yes.
So how about a mind shifter that goes like this? You got a pen handy?
Just a minute.
Listen later. Just a moment. While he's doing that, Michael, may I ask for a mind shifter that would be relevant to the issue that I just spoke to you about? This is Joanne, of course.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Let me stick with the energy of Jannar for a second, and then we'll come right back, Joanne.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So how about it's safe and healing?
Safe and healing.
And I love it.
And
when I'm out of, I love it.
Okay.
And I'm out of control underwater. Are you breathing?
Yes.
Good for you. So I'd work with that mind shifter and see what it surfaces, and then do worksheets around whatever it surfaces. And for anybody that's listening to the show, the tool we use as a mind shifter is that you use that tool as a catalyst to resonate or get things that are hidden away in the deeper parts of the mind to resonate strongly enough till they come forward. So what you do is you just take a piece of paper and divide it in two. You write the mind shifter on the left-hand side, and then everything that comes up in response to it on the right-hand side. And then when you get to the core of what it is you need to deal with, you'll change that, and then the water will become your friend.
Okay.
Cool.
And Joanne was wanting something too.
Okay, I'm back.
And Jannar? And Jeanie throws in the meantime, when you're in the water, use a noodle.
Use a noodle.
I have been, actually.
Good. Okay.
What first actually brought it up was when I'd been in the middle of the lake and David was tugging and teasing me and messed with the one noodle I had, and I started going under even though he didn't pull it out from underneath me, which is really what brought this up.
Uh-huh.
So, anyways, Joanne was...
waiting my turn.
Okay, well, we hold the space, Jannar, and let that one surface and let it move.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, I'm
So,
back.
Joanne, you want a mind shifter around getting the last vestiges of this grief to surface around your son?
Absolutely.
Okay. Tell me a little more about what you're feeling right now. I just need a minute to kind of tap in there.
I feel relieved. I felt relieved when I had the experience on Friday, but what I noticed is that when I shared it with the group, I could feel more of that coming up, and I know it's coming up to come out, just as it was a few minutes ago. So is there something else in terms of a mind shifter that would facilitate that process is my question. And if so, I'd be glad to have it.
Okay. So the thought that comes is deepening the contact.
Would you say that again?
Deepening the contact.
Okay.
With my own grief and loss.
Deepening the contact with my own grief and loss.
Right.
Okay.
Around the suicide of my son. Heals both of us.
Oh, great. Heals both of us. Okay, I have one last question after then. Because the thought that came to me during those days was he didn't die instantly. It was, as I said, 5 days later, and it was on July the 4th. And to me, it felt like another whole experience to sit there by his bed during that time, and then to be actually holding his hand at the time that transition occurred. I don't know if that's an additional part or not, because I felt like obviously he could have gone instantly and I would have been dealing with the death and the grief, but this whole other experience, it seemed to me. And I even knew on Monday, this is actually the year that the cycle is the same day, like it was a Friday when it occurred. And
Right.
So anyway, on Tuesday, my ex-husband, his father, arrived, and my daughter, who had said she wasn't coming, arrived. They both called and said that they would be arriving on Wednesday, and Wednesday was July the 4th. And so I said to my other son who was with me, okay, this is the day. Either he comes out of this or he's leaving, because his whole family is coming here together now. So I know he's waiting on this moment. I just don't know which way he's going to go. And, of course, what happened was that he left. And so I'm putting this out there because if there is some more that can be done, I'm open.
Was your son the peacemaker in the family?
No, not necessarily. He was a philosopher. No, I wouldn't say the peacemaker. He was kind of a quiet, but he was not always quiet. He was either or, not one or the other. I mean, he was both. That's what I'm trying to say. Even as a toddler, he could spend the whole day in the corner with a box and be happy, where most kids would be exploring. So that kind of describes him, his personality throughout his life.
Are there, with the fact that you bring up your relationship with your former husband and with your daughter, are there still some unresolved issues with your former husband that are keyed in with all of this?
Oh, yes, it is, definitely. And I've done the worksheets on that as well as other healing work prior to that time. Yes, it is, because he was not an active part of his life once I divorced him. Then he just totally did not involve himself. And so then what happened is that by some seeming strange quirk, he ended up being the one to handle all of the arrangement for the service, which was for me.
So we're breathing with you, my dear.
So and there were some things that he didn't do that probably would have been very benevolent on his part. And I attempted at that time to explain to my other children that since he hadn't been a father for all of those years, he really was acting from what he didn't know as opposed to what he did know. And, my idea was to alleviate as much of their pain and frustration as possible with some understanding about how bizarre the whole thing seemed at that time.
Right.
And
it sounds like maybe there's still a lot of goals that you need some worksheets to do to clean up the goals you held for your former husband, either when you divorced him, to be in relationship with your children, and then the goals you held as he made those arrangements and things he left out. I go back with every one of those and start canceling those, and it sounds like those are going to take you right in. It's like, you remember you've heard us talk about the file folder effect, and all those files are linked in together, so when they fire, when one of them fires, it just links through the whole thing. And so I would be doing reality management worksheets around those. I think you're going to find that there's going to be that Hydra effect that's going to take you into another whole level of healing.
I actually started that, Michael. Thank you for that suggestion, but I did recognize that, and I have started it, but obviously there's more to be done. Thank you.
Yes.
So,
well, we hold the space for it all, and perhaps canceling the goal for you as a mom to have the power to soothe it and alleviate the suffering of everybody. You might want to take that burden off of your shoulders too.
Thank you.
So you might look at any goals you held for yourself around that were involved in, as you said, the quirky circumstances where his father, who wasn't involved in his life, ended up making the arrangements. Maybe there are some goals that you held for you around that whole circumstance to have been able to do that, and that if those ones are still held in that unresolved space, that canceling those and delving into what all the dynamics are there will help to heal this whole complex of events. And, of course, when you do that, you'll free not only yourself but your son and your former husband.
Yes. Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, we had a woman at Heartland back a few years ago who had a father who had been extremely abusive in her younger childhood, and she had a lot of pain and rage and anger and hatred toward him. And she happened to select a mind shifter on the one of the early nights of the workshop, a mind shifter around her father. And as she was writing the her father came through to her and asked for, and of course using the Greek idea of forgiveness, asked for her forgiveness, that he really as a soul needed to go on, but he was so hooked into her rage at him that he couldn't go on in his own life, in moving forward, and asked that he forgive her, and that just opened such a huge space for her. And so there may be some things here that might tie in along those lines that are keeping you linked in with your son, linked in with your former husband, and maybe some issues around your daughter as well from the sound of it. And so it sounds like that's going to be a major piece of work to work through all of that.
Well, I know that my other son, who is the oldest of the family, has still a lot of issues around his relationship and or lack of, with the father. And in fact, I will be doing a workshop with them. I started a year ago doing an annual retreat with my children and grandchildren. But the retreat is a workshop that has to do with healing, wholeness, etc. So that's scheduled for October, the end of October. So I'll be doing something. And I will be taking, some of your tools as well to use at that time.
Very cool.
Yes.
Well, you absolutely have our wholehearted support in that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. What an awesome gift to give your children, your family, to do that and to be that conscious. That's just fabulous.
Well, it occurred to me because I've done workshops and things for years, and my kids would show up. Sometimes, they're not in the same state, but it just finally dawned on me that it was an opportunity that I could be doing with my children, with my descendants, what I do with other people. And so we had our first experience to establish an annual activity of a family retreat. And it was a really wonderful experience. And from all of my children and grandchildren, the feedback was really great, and they're looking forward to it this year. So thank you.
So cool. What a gift to give. All right. Well, blessings. Okay. Anybody else there got a thought or a comment? We're down to just a couple of minutes. Anybody from Heartland have a thought for us? Jeanie, are there any other calls? Oh, go ahead.
We just wanted to say thank you. It's been a busy day, and we're on the countdown to our first group of guests coming in, so we're all excited and kind of jazzed with things, and working on a peck of peaches and a peck of plums right now. So
yum. One of the things we've never done there, I don't think, is made plum ice cream. That'd be pretty cool to freeze some of those and save them for ice cream.
That's what we're thinking of for the 4th of July. We're going through this peck of peaches and getting the ripest stuff and see what we can do for the 4th of July. We've got neighbors that Chuck and Magna are coming in, and Patrick and Julie are coming, and that's going to be the 4th of July for us.
And Joy.
Wonderful. Well, have a wonderful 4th of July happening. We are in Jonesville, Tennessee, with about 125 Virginia, Jonesville, Virginia, with about 125 family members here on the old family farm down on the river. So swimming down the river and hanging out and playing cards and just eating more food than we need to. So we'll join you in that celebration of July 4th, and thank you all for blessing Heartland with your presence and your healing and opening the space a little wider for it to become the space for every mind, heart, and being on the planet to heal. So thank you for all of your support, and I think we're about complete. If you're in Asheville, join us Friday and Saturday this week, and then Sunday we'll be in Birmingham for a week, so come and play. Blessings. Have the best year yet of your eternal life. Take care. Bye-bye.